love that tune. Hi.
Hi, it is a
How are
very
you?
sassy tune. I'm excellent,
It's a
Ewan.
very
How are
sassy
you
tune.
today?
I'm doing great. Really good. Thank you for asking, Cassandra
Of
Sparks. How are you
course.
doing today?
I'm excellent. I'm excited to see you. We're a little bit shifting up our routine and having our
We are.
speakeasy on a Thursday instead of a Friday, and it's feeling exciting and fresh.
I like to shake it up every now and again.
You
It's
know?
brilliant to see you on a Thursday. I feel like it's quite
Mhm.
nice. It's been quite chill. We've had a good old chit chat before our session and everything. I loved it.
Yes, likewise, likewise. What are you excited about this week?
Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm really excited. We've got I'm
Oh,
excited about I've got some do you know I think a lot of people know this about me, but one of my little passion projects in life is to be a wedding officiant, and I do it
oh,
a lot.
yes.
I've got weddings this weekend. It's such a beautiful weekend as well. I'm excited for my couples. So shout out to my
Hmm.
couples if you're watching. You're not, but if you are, can't wait to get
Yay!
you married. Woo!
How many weddings are you or couples are you working with?
I have got two this weekend, which
Fabulous.
is nice. For I think you know this. That deemed a quiet weekend for me.
Yes, yes, I do. And if you
How about
haven't
you?
seen Ewan in action, he has a whole social media account dedicated to his work. What's that called again, Ewan?
Ewan Richu Lang. I didn't say my name right. That was weird. Ewan Richu Lang, professional officiant. Emphasis on the professional. Tk you very
Heck
much.
yes. Who would want this
Yes.
ray of sunshine kicking off their marriage? I mean, that's amazing.
Right? Imagine. Can you imagine this being the
I
first thing
can.
in your marriage?
I can.
Jesus,
I'm here
Jesus.
for it.
Um, well, the person I'm married to, I don't think can imagine it. So, anyway, how about you? What have you got to look forward to? What's exciting about this week?
This week, I am spending time with my dear friends. They are moving out of state tomorrow,
Oh,
which is why we're doing this today, so I can
yeah.
spend some time with them tomorrow and just kind of cherishing those memories, those moments, spending as much time with them as I can before they head back up north.
Ooh,
Pretending to be okay about it.
you're doing a great job of pretending, but it's okay to not be okay.
I
This
know,
is the
I'm really
speakeasy.
not.
It's a safe
I'm
space.
really not. I'm going to miss them so much.
I know. But think of all the road trips and the
Mm, yeah, I'll
plane
fly.
trips.
Yeah, I'll
Okay, I
fly.
was gonna say, good.
Yeah.
That's my girl. Turn
Yep.
left.
Turn left. So that's been the focus of my week is a little bit more personal focus, a little bit less focus on the profesh side. And sometimes you got to
Good.
do that
Nobody does
and like
weeks.
and change the scales a little bit. Take a,
Mm.
because what is it you said last week? We are humans first, employees second.
I did say that last week, and you
Hmm.
missed out a really important part, and that is the always period at the end.
Always.
It's
We are.
important because
It is.
it's not a negotiable. It's a non-negotiable for
Mm-hmm.
us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we are human
Yes.
first, employees second, always. I love that. I'm
Always.
glad you remembered.
Of course.
Thanks.
It's stuck with
Yes.
me.
Oh. Well, I am excited to start this session off. Are you?
Hmm. Absolutely.
Then
Let's
let's do
do
it.
it.
Before we dive into today's conversation, let's check in on how we did with last week's Friday Courage Challenge. I would love to know how it landed for you, Cassandra Sparks.
Hmm.
We asked you to answer the question your team is already asking: what just changed? And what does that mean for me? So tell me a little bit about that, Cassandra. How did your Friday Courage Challenge go for you?
Absolutely. I love this question because you can actually feel the difference immediately when leaders answer that question with clarity. I used
Mm.
this question recently at a training in North Carolina. And what shifted was more than just clarity. The energy in the room completely lifted into this positive, almost like anything is possible state. because people stopped guessing and they were able to freely engage.
Ooh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Am I able to push you for the question? Are you
Certainly.
able to share what the question was?
The question, it's centered around how we show up as leaders, what kind of presence we bring to a space, to the front of a room. And the question is, if we took away the ability for people to like see you and they could only hear you, what would your voice tell them about who you are and what you're doing and what you stand for?
I love that.
Yeah, it was really unique. It was really unique because it forced us to move away from relying on our bodies and instead use our voice as the primary source of communication. And the voice is such a powerful tool. So practicing that and allowing folks the flexibility to really play with that and how we can use our voice opened up a whole exciting experience for them.
That's amazing. I love that. Thanks
Thank
for sharing.
you.
I really appreciate
Of
that.
course. Tell me about you. How did that land for you last week?
Do you know, it was really good actually. I perfectly timed Friday Courage Challenge for me. I was with a fabulous client up in Washington State, up in the mountains. And we were talking a lot about cultural change and how we shift the culture of our guests' experience through our leadership. And we were working with a really awesome leadership team who really engaged. It's such a beautiful community up there. Everybody kind of knows each other so well, and they've been working together for, in some cases, decades in this property. But what was really amazing was their openness and willingness to change. We were presenting them with this concept of the service experience needs to be consistent. So how do we as a leader adapt and shift and change our communication style to ensure that that consistency actually is happening out on the floor every day? So they had to really have a mindset shift. We were using, you know me, I like to take my Lego wherever I go. We were doing a Lego series play session with them, which was really great to see how their mind shift shifted with the visual of the Lego in front of them. So we asked the question, what does service look like to you, and got them to build a model. But then we got them to think about how they were going to change their communication style as a leader to make sure that that experience was happening consistently out on the floor. And the what does it mean to me part kept on coming up actually during the conversation, because they were trying to understand not only, of course, how it was going to benefit them, but also naturally, as human beings and as leaders, how is this going to impact me in the time I have, right? If I'm going to shift my communication style to this style that we were talking about, then is that going to mean I have to work harder? Is it going to mean that I have to change my approach to the way that I communicate, which is going to mean more work? So we had to work through all that. It was really good though, and I think at the end of the day, we realized that it was the right thing for them all to embrace and do. So I was really, really impressed with that team.
That's amazing. It sounds very powerful.
Yeah, it was. It really was a powerful session. We enjoyed it. And
Mm-hmm.
here's what's interesting. If your team understands you, but still isn't moving, you
Mm.
don't have a clarity problem. And communicating that change is such a huge part of clarity, right? It's about
Yes.
making sure that your team truly does understand what you're talking about and what you're trying to achieve. So
That's
making
right.
sure that that clarity piece is communicated effectively through the changes that we're making as leaders, I think that was the biggest thing that we learned. So I love that.
Absolutely. And to kind of put a Lego on that, pun intended, if you
Ayo.
don't if you don't have a clarity problem, there's likely a connection problem. You ever try to put two Legos together that don't fit, or two puzzle pieces together that don't fit? There's a connection problem there. And I think that's at
Yes,
the root of what we are going to lean into today.
absolutely. Let's get into it, shall we?
Yes, please.
Okay. This week, we're talking about what leaders think their people need versus what actually works, because we're both seeing this play out in real time inside
Mhm.
teams, inside the organizations we work with, and inside
Mhm.
those leadership conversations that we get the opportunity to observe or be a part of, or have with leaders and clients that we work with every single day and week.
Absolutely. And that's why this conversation is so powerful because it's not theoretical. This is actually what's happening in real workplaces with real humans. And even when leaders are doing all the right things, something might still be missing.
Absolutely. Well, let's get this started then, shall we? Welcome everybody to Spark Squared Speakeasy, the leadership conversation you weren't meant to overhear.
Served up like a casual pub chat for leaders. I'm Cassandra Sparks, your go to gal for sparking authentic motivation and bold AF moves.
And I'm Ewan, the founder of Figuri, and we are here to make workplace learning actually work. And most importantly, make workplace learning fun too.
Pull up a chair, folks. This is real, honest talk about leadership in real life.
I got dogs going off in the background.
It's real life.
Perfectly timed. All right, let's get into this. I'm
Uh-huh.
going to mute myself while they bark at the post person. I'm so sorry, USPS.
So, our first bit of this conversation is when leaders over explain what underconnect. And one thing that I'm noticing now, and I think you might as well, is leaders think if something is not landing, the answer is to explain more. Like, let me just layer on the context or layer on the direction. More details, more slides, more talking.
You are absolutely right, and thank you for taking over there, Cassandra, whilst Kenya the dog decided to bark. Um, yes, I'm seeing the exact same thing. I've been spending a lot of time with leaders, facilitating, observing, and coaching, and
Hmm.
I definitely see that same thing as well. But you've got some experiences
Absolutely.
that you want to share, right? So I'd love to hear more about them.
Well, sure. In my work with Dale Carnegie as a Dale Carnegie certified trainer, I get a front row seat to how this actually plays out in real time. And what's fascinating is this: even when people understand logically what's changed, they might not necessarily buy in yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head there, right? That is for a lot of leaders and teams, that's the gap right there. That
Hmm.
leaders are thinking they get it. Duh.
Hmm.
Like if I get it, they get it. I just need to explain it better. That's on me, right? I just need to just explain it a little bit better. But
Hmm.
the team is really thinking on the other side, yeah, I understand it. I understand what you're asking me to do, but I don't really feel like I have a connection to it. I don't feel like I really connect and get the purpose or the why behind it.
Exactly. And that distinction right there changes everything because understanding is logical. Buy in, however, is emotional.
So what we're saying then really is
Hmm.
that if understanding is all up here and it's logic and buy-in
Yes.
is all down here in the heart and that's
Hmm.
emotion, more explanation, over explaining, more words, more talking, more recycling the same old message really doesn't solve it.
That's right. And to your point, that over explanation can actually make things worse for a team because now they're feeling talked at or talked down to instead of brought in to the conversation as a valued member of the team.
I love that. That is so good. I love that visual of almost the sort of the community of bringing people
Hmm.
into a decision or the community of bringing people into a standard or an expectation. I think it just gives that buy-in that we need as leaders, right?
Absolutely. And what I've seen inside of these sessions is this: when leaders slow down, when they ask thoughtful questions and they actually listen, the entire energy shifts, engagement increases, ownership of the team increases in their work, and the energy explodes in the best positive way.
I love that. I think you're that just so correct. It's that sense that they're now a part of something. They're a part
That's
of
right.
this thing with a pack, with a community, and they're not just
Mhm.
receiving it. They're not just being told what to do or being kind of pushed around in one direction or another by other people. I think that's so vital, so vital to leadership, especially in today's world.
Absolutely. Our bold take here is this: if people understand you as a leader but aren't moving forward, there's not a clarity problem here. There's a problem with connection.
Yeah.
And that is something that can be remedied, luckily.
And we are definitely involved in conversations with our clients all the time around how do we make that thing happen, right? How do we
Hmm.
make it change in our teams where they feel connected, they feel like
Hmm.
they're a part of the growth and the forward momentum? Because as soon
Hmm.
as you get that, in my experience, as soon as a team kind of collectively understands where they're going and they're not only reciting it as like a mission statement or they're reciting it as a set of values, but they're actually aligning their behaviors to that value set of values because they know intrinsically how that's going to impact or benefit them. That's where the magic happens. I think that's my take on that for sure.
Absolutely. And there may not be a one size fits all model for every team. You've seen and worked with diverse teams from geographic locations all across the world. You've seen really diverse groups of people within that team. And while there are some core principles that we as thought leaders can share with
Mhm.
the folks leading these teams, I think what helps us stand out is we know how to create a custom approach for that particular team so that they can
Yeah.
all buy in and move forward together.
I think that I keep on coming back to it, but I think it's really vitally important to any sort of organizational change is understanding the populace, understanding the audience, understanding the team, the individuals
Yes.
that make that group up, and
Yes.
whether that is a group of people in a specific area, or if that's a group of people that are quite spread out across the globe, maybe a remote team,
Mm-hmm.
that all feeds into the culture, and that culture is so important to understand so that you can adapt and tailor your message and your communication style as a leader so that it resonates with the most people in that team possible. And then for the one or two people that may not necessarily resonate with that message or that style, they're seeing their colleagues, they're seeing the rest of the pack connect and buy in and align themselves. So then there's that impetus on that individual to start maybe making some changes for themselves, making some shifts for themselves, so that they do buy in, they do kind of move into the pack mentality and
Mm-hmm.
help to contribute to that forward momentum, that growth, whatever that might look like. I think that
Mm-hmm.
culture plays such a huge part in communication as a leader that it's sometimes something that's overlooked. I
Mm.
always remember working in the cruise line industry and working with the shipboard teams where you have like over 60 nationalities on board those ships. Really getting people to understand a message and buy into that message and then align their behaviors to that message is a mammoth task. It's
Mm-hmm.
so under appreciated, the the level of agility that a leader needs to have to be able to manage a team that is so diverse and so broad. And I've seen some amazing examples of that in my career with the cruise line industries. The successful leaders in that environment where there was such a broad mix of cultures,
Mm-hmm.
the success stories were always in those leaders who were able to pivot on a dime. Like they were just
Mm.
able to switch their style from one person to the other. But if you listen to what they were saying, the core message, whatever it was, expectation, standard, policy was always the same. It was just that they were able to just tweak the way it was delivered so that it was clear for the person that was receiving that message. And I think that if all leaders did that, inside or outside of the cruise line industry, I think we would find so much more success. That is a skill, and a skill that I think that many leaders need to develop.
Yes. Which actually, Ewan, brings us really beautifully into our next round of our pub chat, and that is confidence versus presence as a leader, and which of the two builds trust. Where does it come from? Does it come from confidence, or does it come from presence? So why don't you tell us a little bit about that to start?
Sure, something I've definitely been noticing. I'm curious to hear your insight on this, Cassandra, because I know it's something that you have a lot of experience in as well. And I definitely feel like there is such a pressure on leaders in today's working world that we have to present ourselves in a certain way, in a very confident, very driven, very go, go, go sort of way. If you scroll on LinkedIn for even half of a second, you would get a very clear perception of what we're meant to be as leaders. But the reality is that the confidence, the bravado, the bravery of leadership is not always necessarily the thing that's going to make you most successful. Sometimes that authenticity, that human side is important. So I suppose the question I've got is: are leaders focusing that are leaders that focus heavily on confidence? Are they maybe trying to sound more confident or come across more polished? And if so, why is that? So I'd quite like to discuss and kind of explore that with you.
Absolutely. I do see this all the time. And I think, honestly, it comes from a good place. The leader wants to do their best. I also believe that we've over indexed on confidence because what builds trust is not necessarily confidence from your leader. Like, that's important, but that's not the crux of it. What's most important is leadership presence.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean by leadership presence?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Presence is when someone feels like you're with them. When you understand as a leader what your team is going through, their wins, their struggles, their day to day. And as a leader, they're not performing. They're not trying to prove something or trying to get it right all the time, because that's not human. A real leader comes in grounded, they come in engaged, and they come in with curiosity.
I love that. Yeah, it's just less, from what I'm hearing you say, is it's kind of less about delivery and far more about how we connect with the people around us.
Exactly. And this ties back to what we were just talking about, because you can clearly explain when something has changed. But if people don't feel it, don't feel that you're in that change with them, they'll still hold back because they don't feel that connection to you. That leader hasn't demonstrated the presence that they need to succeed in that moment.
That is extremely powerful. I love how that's helping to reframe what leadership presence is, because yeah, I mean, leadership presence is just so misunderstood, I think, for many leaders
Yes,
out there. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that.
of course. Of course. I agree with you. It is misunderstood. And I've seen this play out in real time. One leader could be polished, structured, perfect. Another is less polished but fully present. And if you were to take a poll, the team will trust the leader the second time, the second leader. Every time, the one who is polished but fully present. So for example, I was in a training and giving us a talk that was emotional. It had some emotional underpinnings to it. And I was being coached by a colleague to take away some of the polish and allow people to see what it really felt like to have one of the hardest conversations I've ever had to have in my life. And when I let go of that perfection, that super polished delivery, and I leaned into the really authentic, difficult feelings that I managed at that time, I displayed a little bit of emotion, got a little bit teary-eyed. Every single person in that room was enraptured and leaned forward. And they said how much more they respected me for showing that humanity, for showing that vulnerability, for saying, this was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, and I survived it. Even though in that moment it felt extraordinarily impossible and heavy. And I think because, in that prior to that, I had been really so polished and professional, and then I kind of stripped it down a bit. It's when I stripped it down, stripped away some of that varnish, that folks were like, I see you. I resonate with you. This is powerful. You are a powerful leader, Cassandra. It was really quite moving, both as the person that was demoing the talk and as the recipient of that feedback.
All because it feels real and authentic and genuine, right?
Exactly. And I think we've touched upon this before, but leaders often feel the need to have it all figured out, and nobody has it all figured out. So when we can lean into our humanity, the bold take that we would love to share is stop trying to be so impressive and start instead trying to be fully present as the wonderful, flawed, extraordinary human being that you are.
Yeah, I think that feeds into so many pitfalls that leaders, old and new, fall into. That strive or striving to be perfect all of the time, and failing to realize that you're leading human beings, and human beings are being led by a human being.
Yes. Because leadership lands when people feel your presence. Just like in my example from this past week, people were physically leaning in as I was giving my talk. And it was wonderful to see as the speaker, and it was valuable to the folks that were in the room with me.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that experience, because I think that is such a great illustration of the importance of being authentic and the importance of being real. And it doesn't have to be in an emotional conversation. For many leaders,
Of course.
It can be in a simple moment that they happen to have during their working day with a team member or colleague, or even a guest or a customer or a client. I think most of my clients at Figure 8 will recognize as they listen to this that I am nothing but authentic and genuine with them, which is maybe a problem, but I don't think so based on our conversation now. I have full permission to be myself. And in fact, in joining both the conversations that we've had together over the course of the podcast, we've spoken about, it really isn't about saying more. It's just about connecting more, about being
That's
present.
right.
It's not about sounding better or sounding more articulate or sounding more polished. It's about just being present in the moment, in that conversation, in that interaction. And I think that is something that in today's world, when we are so busy and so distracted, that it's easy for a leader to forget to do that.
Yeah.
Take a breath and be a human for 5 minutes, and I promise it'll get you to exactly the same place, and people will see you in a different light as well.
I love that. Ewan, when we think about today's episode, at the end of the day, people are not asking themselves, Did my leader give me the perfect explanation? No. What's really going through their heads is, did this feel real? And did this include me? Did I feel like I was part of this? Did I feel valued?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think that is a great way to end our podcast today, everybody. So before we close the speakeasy doors, here's our Friday Courage Challenge for you. In your next conversation, whether it is a meeting, one-on-one, a team discussion, I want you to focus less on what you're going to say and think about more how you're going to show up. So your challenge is to focus less on what you say and more on how you're going to show up.
That's brilliant. So I'm just brainstorming here. That could look or sound like asking one better or different question. It could look and sound like pausing a little bit longer and letting the conversation breathe and allowing people to think. Or 3, listen to the answer.
Shocking.
Ayo.
I love that. Yes, absolutely. Because people will feel connected and everything else will get better when they do.
Absolutely. And that's the whole point, for teams to function at a higher level, for things to feel easier so that the clients that they're serving have the best experience.
Absolutely.
As we sign out today, if you want to learn more about how I empower teams and individuals to unleash their hidden firepower and to live boldly and authentically, check me out on all the socials. I'm at Cassandra Sparks YOU on all of them.
And love that. And if you want, there's a lot of spelling coming up here, everyone. Hunker down, get your pens out. And if you want to take your workplace learning from bland to brilliant, then Figure Learning is the company for you. Follow Figure Learning, search for Figure Learning, Figary, on all the socials. And if you want to follow me, you're more than welcome to. Ewan Ricciolaing. The spelling is Ricciolaing. Good luck. And I will see you on the channels.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the little cherry on top, which is our very own fun shop called Own the Room, Tell Your Story, where you build presence, which we've just been talking about, confidence, and storytelling that actually lands. If this conversation sparked something for you, share it with someone who needs a seat at our table.
We will see you back here next insert day here. Same speakeasy. Same sparks.
Same sparks.
Bye.
Bye.